My dear viewers, prepare your hearts for the biggest surprise you will have that day. Imagine a beautiful wedding hall filled with flowers and guests eagerly awaiting the ceremony. The groom, Lucas, is just minutes away from marrying Mariana. Everything seems perfect until a shocking twist turns the event upside down. As the march begins, Sophia, Lucas' daughter, steps forward with a revelation that could destroy everything. What secret does she keep? How is this seemingly perfect woman linked to a tragic past? Get ready for a rollercoaster of emotions as we uncover the truth behind Sophia's accusation and uncover the secrets that lie behind this story. The hall was resplendent, with white roses lining the hall and golden ribbons hanging from the ceiling. Lucas stood at the altar, his heart racing not just with excitement, but with a hint of anxiety that he couldn't understand. His future bride, Mariana, was the epitome of grace and beauty, a woman who seemed perfect in every way. But when the wedding march began, the atmosphere changed. From the end of the hall, Sophia, Lucas's daughter from his previous marriage, entered the hall. She should have been sitting silently, watching her father's big day, but something about her expression was far from celebratory. There was a determination in his eyes, a purpose that no one had anticipated. As she walked towards the altar, the guests began to murmur. What was she doing? Why wasn't she sitting? Lucas's heart skipped a beat when he noticed the tension on Sophia's face. He tried to get her attention, but she was focused on Mariana, and there was something almost accusatory in her gaze. Mariana, feeling the change in the room, turned to Sophia, her smile faltering. "Sophia, what is this?" she asked, her voice a mix of confusion and concern. But Sophia didn't respond right away. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a letter, its edges frayed as if it had been read and reread many times. The room fell into a stunned silence as Sophia unfolded the paper, her hands shaking slightly. "I can't let this happen," Sophia finally said, her voice firm but full of emotion. "Dad, you need to know the truth before you make the biggest mistake of your life." The guests gasped and Lucas felt a cold sweat break out on his forehead. What was she talking about? What truth? The letter in Sophia's hand seemed to burn with intensity. Lucas felt the room spin slightly as he tried to comprehend what his daughter could possibly mean. "Sophia, please," he said, trying to keep his voice steady, "what's going on?" Sophia took a deep breath, her eyes brimming with tears. "This woman, Dad. Mariana, she's not who you think she is. She's the reason Mum's gone." The words hung in the air like a dark cloud. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The guests looked at one another in shock, unable to process what they were hearing. Mariana's face drained of color. "That's a lie," she said, her voice shaking. "Sophia, I don't know what you think you know, but it's not true." But Sophia stood her ground. "I know everything," she said quietly. "I found the letters Mum kept hidden. I know the affair. I know how you broke her heart, how you destroyed our family." Lucas felt as though the floor had dropped out from under him. "An affair," he whispered, the word feeling foreign and sharp on his tongue. Sophia nodded, her tears now freely falling. "Mum found out just before she couldn't take it anymore. She loved you so much, Dad. And you didn't even know how much you hurt her." The guests were no longer murmuring, they were silent, some with their hands covering their mouths, others with wide eyes locked on the unfolding drama. Mariana stepped forward, her hands reaching out toward Lucas. "Lucas, please, listen to me," she pleaded. "It's not what you think." But Lucas stepped back, the hurt and betrayal cutting deep. "Is it true?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sophia's accusation had thrown the wedding into chaos, but the truth had to come out. The air was thick with tension as Lucas waited for Mariana's response. His heart was pounding so hard he could barely hear anything else. Mariana's eyes darted around the room looking for an escape, but there was none. Yes, she finally admitted, her voice trembling. There was an affair, but it was over long before your wife, before she passed. Sophia's face twisted. In pain. You're lying, she shouted. Found out, and it killed her. She never recovered from what you did to her. Lucas felt like he had been punched in the gut. How could you do this to us? He demanded, turning his gaze to Mariana. You let me believe you were innocent, that you loved me, or why you were hiding this. Mariana tried to defend herself, but the damage was done. The guests were no longer simply watching, they were judging, their eyes filled with pity for Lucas and disdain for Mariana. I'm sorry, Lucas, Mariana whispered, tears streaming down her face. I never wanted to hurt you. But Lucas couldn't look at her. His mind was reeling with the revelation that the woman he was about to marry had played a part in the destruction of his first marriage, in the death of the woman he had once loved. Sophia stood by, watching the man. She had always looked up to Crumble. Dad, she said softly, I couldn't let you marry her without knowing the truth. Mom wouldn't have wanted this. Lucas nodded slowly, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. I need time, he said finally, his voice hollow. I need to think. The wedding was cancelled. The guests slowly filed out of the room, their excitement now replaced by hushed whispers and sympathetic glances. Lucas remained at the altar, looking at the floor, with his mind confused. Sophia approached him cautiously, her heart aching for her father. Father, she said gently, I'm sorry it happened like this. But you deserve to know the truth. Lucas looked at her, his eyes filled with pain and confusion. I don't know what to do, Sophia, he admitted. I thought I was moving on, starting from scratch, but now I feel lost. Sophia sat next to him, holding his hand. You're not alone, she reassured him. We will get through this together. Mom would like you to find happiness, but not at the cost of the truth. Lucas nodded, shaking her hand. Thank you for being brave enough to tell me, he said, his voice cracking with emotion. I don't know how I'm going to move forward, but I'm glad you stopped me from making a terrible mistake. As they sat together in the empty hallway, Lucas realized how much he had missed. How blind he was to the cracks in his life. But with Sophia by his side, he felt a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, he could find a way to heal. Weeks passed and the dust began to settle. Lucas had distanced himself from Mariana, needing time to process the betrayal and loss. He focused on his daughter, finding solace in the relationship as they both grieved and began to rebuild. Sophia, although still carrying the weight of her mother's death, felt a sense of closure that she didn't know she needed. She did the right thing, no matter how painful it was. And in time, she knew her father would heal. Mariana tried to get closer and explain herself, but Lucas couldn't hear her. Trust was destroyed and the love they shared was now tainted by lies and deceit. In the end, Lucas realized that the fairy tale he was chasing was nothing more than an illusion. The real love story was the one he had with his daughter, the only person who truly put him first. As father and daughter walked along the beach, with the sun setting in the distance, Lucas finally felt at peace. The pain was still there, but it was no longer unbearable. He was given a second chance to rebuild his life, and this time he would do everything right. Sophia looked at him and smiled. We'll be fine, Dad, she said confidently. Lucas returned the smile, feeling the truth in her words. Yes, he agreed. Let's go. And as they continued their walk, with the waves gently lapping the shore, they both knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together. Stronger than ever. At the end of the intense journey, we are reminded that love, trust and truth are the pillars that hold relationships together. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next chapter of another unforgettable story.